Would you look at that, a new video. So lately I've noticed this trend in media, especially with recent Hollywood superhero flicks, that there's been a surplus of fan service. Now you can look at Marvel, DC, Star Wars, etc., you name it, and see this quantified increase of trying to give people what they think they want in order to bring in more crowds. Or you could say the crowds that have been drawn away from their franchise, they try to bring them back. And in order to do so, you decide to bring back familiar faces. But you cannot just do that now, can ya? Lately I've noticed these recent Hollywood attempts to be half-hearted more than not. How do you achieve the delicate line between honest altruism or cheap cash grab? And is it possible to achieve good fan service without sacrificing why people like the old? Well, today at Tiger Drop Films, I'm going to dive into how the Ultraman series has recently achieved near perfect fan service. We're going to look at Super Aya's Ultra Galaxy Fight Online series, and I'm going to pick a few scenes from the latest two entries that I believe fully show that you can achieve great fan service, while at the same time using these old characters to tell new stories. First, let me know in the comments what your favorite scene at Ultra Galaxy Fight was. First things first, the return of obscure Ultras. One of the big events in 2020's The Absolute Conspiracy was a return to characters that haven't been seen in decades or haven't had a role that extended past brief cameos. Such characters include Ultraman Jonius, Ultraman Great, Ultraman Powered, and even Ultraman Legend. It was clear that this was the start of something special. You see, it's not just about letting old and new fans enjoy the same cake. It's about creating a universe cohesion that lets kids enjoy all parts of the Ultraman franchise and pick their favorites from there. Even from a merchandise perspective, this works wonders in wanting kids to buy a different Ultraman and fall in love with the music and the desire to check out all the shows. Believe me, it works. I've seen it firsthand with my youngest brother. It's special seeing the magic of all these characters light up in the eyes of a kid. Ultraman Legend appears for the first time since its debut in 2003's Ultraman Cosmos vs. Ultraman Justice: The Final Battle. Legend is one of the most powerful Ultraman to exist, up there with the likes of Saga and Noah. Legend returning for just a few brief moments since his original appearance provides great fan service for fans of Ultraman Cosmos, especially those wanting to see this part of the character's history make a comeback. It should be noted that before Cosmos and Justice fused in the Legend, they were sharing screen time with the likes of Neos, 21, and 80. How cool is that? If you look at it a certain way, this was a sort of collection of Ultras who were the main focus during rough spots in the history of Super Eye productions. Neos and 21 were the stars of an Ultra show that was scrapped in favor of Ultraman Tiga bringing a completely fresh face to the franchise in 1996. And Neos' show wasn't released until 2000. If you've seen this Ultra Galaxy Fight series, then you know that 21 gets to be a part of something very awesome later on. And I'll talk about that in a bit. When it comes to Ultraman 80, his show was the last of the Showa era, in an attempt to keep the series going, but us tokusatsu fans know how the 80s were for Toku characters. It was a hard time. So seeing 80 in all his glory here since Mebius is a beauty. Now, Ultra fans know how much Showa fan service there is in Mebius, so once I get to finishing that show, I'll definitely make content on it. Later on, in The Absolute Conspiracy, we see Ultraman Jonius make his big official return since his original show, and a few live-action appearances in other media. He's been redone in a glorious new suit that translates well from his cartoon design. The real cool thing is that Jonius gets to fend off the new Absolutian threat all by himself, showing the raw power he possesses. By combining the skill Jonius has as an Ultraman without compromising his original design, we see a level of respect and care that is done with the return of every legacy character. Later on, he teams up with his student who is from the same planet as he is, Ultraman Titus. This provides a nice way of connecting generations of fans, which is a connection we see with both Ultraman Reboot and Ultraman Regulus. On to Reboot, he is an Ultraman created for Malaysian fans from a partnership with Subaru Productions. Originally debuting in an animated show, his name is even Malaysian for storm, much like Tiga's name means 3 in Malaysian. You can see how easy it is to bring up Tiga in any Ultraman discussion. Reboot's inclusion in this Ultra Galaxy Fight series is important, for he appears in all 3 of them so far and represents the first quote unquote foreign Ultraman to be included with the mainline Japanese Ultras. I know this is definitely fantastic for Malaysian fans, and I'm sure there are some watching this video. You guys are on another level. Like, I've seen all the cool Malaysian fans on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. They're so creative with their fan edits and special effects. Keep at it, guys. And speaking of Ultras from other countries, Reboot gets this cool plot in Absolute Conspiracy, where he receives training from none other than Ultraman Great and Ultraman Powered. These two are infamous for being attempts at relaunching the Ultraman franchise before Tiga was created. Great was made from a partnership with Australia and Powered from the US. For this new series, Supro even brought back Keiin Kasugai to voice Powered. He played his human host Kenichi Kai back in that series. Personally, the Great and Powered shows do not rank higher on my list of favorite Ultraman shows, but there's a certain kind of poetic feeling about having these two Ultramen from other countries pass a torch under Ultraman Reboot. I know there's a good portion of fans here in the US that are exposed to Ultraman through Great and Powered, so I respect it for that. Big takeaway here is that Supro still respects the Ultras that didn't quite succeed, and it's a way of respecting the fans of those series too. Respecting those that stuck around when your company was struggling and still believed in the Ultraman franchise, I in turn respect Supro a great deal for that. After receiving his specialized training from Powered and Great, Reboot joins the two in saving Ultraman Max from Gudis, Magarochi, and Alien Saran. Max fans even get the return of Xenon, who is Max's superior. And just like Ultra 721, we'll get to see more of Xenon in just a little bit. Another important factor must be brought up is the return of iconic villains Ultraman Belial and Ultraman Traeger, who despite being dead in the main timeline are brought back via time travel. Absolute Tartarus uses his special powers of bringing the pre-corrupted forms of these characters back to the present, where he can use them as his sort of henchmen. How this ties into fanservice, besides being a clever way of keeping marketable villains in the play, is that we get to see more of Belial's past if Ultraman K and Ultraman Woman marry before they became the father and mother Ultra, respectfully. I believe these flashbacks take place during one of the wars described in expanded material. In addition, we get to see the friendship between Taro and Traeger, and how Traeger's technology eventually ties into Taro's son, Taiga. Lots of T's, right? This use of time travel allows for some quiet character moments of villains we already know, providing some extra depth we hadn't seen before. Now, this works for new and old fans alike. When it comes to this year's The Destiny Crossroad, Ultraman Nexus fans are in for a feast. I'm talking about the kind of buffet you don't mind becoming the incarnation of gluttony. We follow Ultraman Reboot as he travels to a certain planet Babel, where the legendary Ultraman Noah slumbers before Tartarus can try to take his power. We all know Tartarus is in over his head, but this leads to excellent handling of the Ultraman Nexus character. During the showdown between the Ultras and Absolutians, Noah appears in his Nexus form and gradually goes through each iteration of Nexus. He goes back to his Junus form that trapped Reboot and Absolute Titan in his Meta field, which is another solid callback to his show. Fun fact to you Yakuza fans watching, Titan is voiced by Hiroko Yasumoto, who played Big Boy Aizawa in Yakuza 5. Nexus deploys the meta field on purpose to show Reboot and Titan that both the Ultra and Absolutian can and should work together instead of fighting. This gives Ultraman Nexus a reason for being in the plot and a damn cool reason at that. Eventually, Nexus goes into his Junus Blue form and helps the Ultras spin off the Absolutians and their minions. Since I covered Ultraman Z in my last video, it is cool seeing Nexus battle and manhandle the new Ultraman Zero. This battle leads to Nexus evolving back into his Noah form, and that's when you know it's over. Noah takes down Ultra Zero in a single hit, and everyone in the scene stops to stare. Absolute Tartarus and his boys retreat, much like he did when he saw Ultraman Legend. The battle ends, and Noah leaves without saying a word. Tuspero manages to show the glory and mystique of Ultraman Noah without jeopardizing his character at all, showing respect for the Ultraman who definitely tried something new. And it should be noted that during this giant battle, the USA trio of Ultras returned as well. Much like Jonius, the three Ultras, Beth, Adam, and Scott all received new costumes that are faithful to their original cartoon designs. If this wasn't a deep cut for fans, then I don't know what is. The last big scene I want to discuss from the Destiny Crossroad is one that I believe caught many by surprise. I've been referencing it throughout the video, and here it is. A team consisting of secondary Ultras. Throughout the history of the Ultraman series, there's been a plethora of secondary Ultras who appear in the show, but of course aren't the main focus since their name isn't the title of their respective series. The only outlier to this would be Ultraman Agul from Ultraman Gaia, but he isn't a part of this team since he's an Earth Ultraman. You see, bringing together all these secondary Ultras who only appeared for a few episodes in their original series is a fantastic idea. And the writers created an equally fantastic idea for bringing these heroes together, saving another secondary hero, Princess Ultrawoman Lillian from 80. If this isn't poetry, then I don't know what is. The team consists of following Ultras: Astra, 21, Justice, Xenon, Hikari, Victory, and for good measure, Angel Melos. Talk about giving the fans something we didn't even know we needed. The team saves not only Princess Yulian, but are able to release the new Ultraman Regulos from his chains. If you thought things couldn't get better, well, it turns out Regulos is essentially the new generation Ultraman Leo. Regulos has a past with Astra and Leo, and the trio even team up later in this to reduce one of the strongest Absolutians to dust. But Regulos will have to be a topic for another day, for he has a new show releasing soon. To summarize, it's okay to bring back legacy characters and fan favorites, but only with dignity, respect, and purpose. If you give the audience any less, then you're missing the point and why people fell in love with these characters in the first place. There's a greater science behind fanservice than just making a few quick bucks. After all, giving the fans the hype they want can lead to bigger and better brand cohesion. Let the old fans, new fans, and the kids who look up to these characters let their imaginations go wild with seeing all these colorful characters interact in meaningful ways. Before I end the video, the latest episode of Ultraman Decker has spectacular fan service in the form of bringing Koji Nakamura back. Heisei fans will know him as one of the main suit actors for Tiga, Dyna, and Gaia, the absolute legend. Thank you guys for watching. It would be much appreciated if you hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you next time.